and it's like, oh, well, that's going to be a really hard game after that point. So I think that their draft still was capable of winning, but after that first really bad fight with the 10-second BKB of Ramses, it was just insurmountable almost, the lead that Virtus Pro managed to accrue. So for the first time today, we're going to get to see a tree. I think he's been banned in all 3 of the other games.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. Want to see how impactful it can be.
Yeah. It's a cool hero. It reminds me a little bit, not a complete one-to-one, but of the old Undying, you know, maybe a few years ago, where he was seldom picked, but when he was picked up, teams would just avoid him in the laning stage because he's so strong in those early levels. And Treant has that similar vibe. You just can't trade blows with him. You know, when he picks up Orb of Venom, you don't really have a choice but to play defensive and try to run away. And there's that window in the mid-game where Tree can feel a little underwhelming. Darkseer, one of the better heroes to deal with Treant just in general. You know, Ion Shell against the Living Armor. So there are some options to deal with him. I don't know. I'm not totally convinced that Treant is first pick, first ban worthy. I feel like it's still because he's just new and, you know, teams feel like he has that surprise factor, but maybe that's just me. I mean, what do you think about the Tree, Draskell? Are you sold? Are you on the Tree hype train?
I think he's super strong for sure. He kind of fulfills the same role as like your Spirit Breakers, your, you know, Ogre Magi's, what have you. He provides global lane support, which not really many other heroes do that aren't like in the mid capacity, like Sunspec from Invoker, you know, comes to mind. But I still think the hero is extremely good. But like you said, not entirely convinced. But again, I haven't really seen it in competitive plays, so I guess now will be like the first real time we can gauge the true strength of the hero. And obviously, Faceless feel like it's good enough to pick up, so Witch Doctor going to be following that. Really nice counter pick into the Slardar and the Darkseer, 2 heroes that typically want to be on the front line together. You Ion Shell the Slardar, he blinks in, you Ion Shell yourself, you blink in, you know, combo plays happen.
Yeah.
But the paralyzing cast can be a huge deterrent to stuff like that.
Yeah, I like the Witch Doctor pick. We talked about him in the last game, I think, but quite good here. Really good at killing Darkseer and Slardar in those early levels with the Maledict, and like you were talking about, the Coconut, always a threat. Looking at bans, Medusa actually banned out. You mentioned her to pair with the Magnus earlier today, at least, but actually something Virtus Pro will take out alongside the Jug, and a 3rd ban here on the Lifestealer from Faceless.
Yeah, the Lifestealer ban makes complete sense. I already have a Slardar. You know, Darkseer is one of those, call it an enabler hero, right? It makes other heroes that normally are pretty lackluster into something Lifestealer terrifying. Lifestealers already have a Slardar. You know, Darkseer is one of those, on top of that, call it an enabler hero, an absolute right? It makes other heroes that normally going to be the next ban out. Obviously, Ramses just had a brilliant performance on Troll. I think only died like a handful of times, and most of those deaths were pretty much being inside of Faceless base.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to fault him too much for that one. But that does mean that it opens up the Warlock for VP, which, you know, interestingly enough, much being nuts, he pretty much plays Warlock, Witch Doctor, and Crystal Maiden. Those are like his big 3, if you will. And I think he's like actually one of the best Warlock players after having watched, you know, a couple of Faceless games in the past. But, you know, Virtus Pro, they got that really big team fight. Fatal Bonds, really, really good when you have things like Darkseer, and like one wombo combo can just be like the end of a team fight right then and there.
Yeah.
And plus, you know, Chaotic Offering, super easy to land when you have Darkseer, because you get like that guaranteed kind of mini stun, and then the Slardar can, you know, potentially even go in later than that.
Yeah, a lot of team fight potential for Virtus Pro here. For Faceless, a lot of options with this draft. You know, opening 2 supports. They could do something like a position 1 Venge with Treant Witch Doctor. There are certainly some options there. 2 supports that can work in a tri-lane.
I think Venge is pretty tricky to run here, I feel. Yeah. Because
it's hard to close out the game against all that.
Well, it's hard to close out the game, and it's hard to just live. You know? Like you got a Slardar like running at you with Ion Shell. Ugh.
True.
That's like one of the worst feelings in the world as a core, is having to deal with that particular combination. But yeah, the Nyx is a pretty decent answer to Darkseer, at least in regards to lane, because we're not entirely sure. You know, Slardar could potentially be support. I actually am more inclined to believe it is support, given the 3 heroes that Virtus Pro have right now. They could also decide to put it in a safe lane, but that's like super rare. Don't see that too often.
Yeah.
And then in that case, you know, maybe we potentially see Faceless or VP decide they want to go aggressive. Because a Nyx Darkseer 1v1 matchup, Nyx is actually alright in, because you can just mana burn the Darkseer, and then eventually, you know, before he gets a Soul Ring, you can kind of hold the lane a bit. You know, get your 6, get your Arcane Boots, maybe try to make something happen off of that. Because they don't actually know what he's laning against yet on the Nyx. They just know that, you know, Lifestealer is banned and Jug is banned, which are probably two of the more dangerous heroes. So it does open them up for the possibility of an offline Nyx. But I'm also not sold that Faceless want to just do standard laning yet, because I think if they do standard laning, it's going to be a rough game.
Virtus Pro, plenty of time to think about the 4th pick that they want here. But yeah, if you can get that Nyx versus Darkseer lane, you know, Nyx has that built-in regen that also helps him just deal with the Ion Shell, and he can get guaranteed stuns, kind of similar to the Nyx versus Bat Rider type thing. Just walk up to an Ion Shell with the Spike Carapace. But now Ember Spirit for Virtus Pro, so more big AoE magic damage to go with that AoE team fight combo we were talking about. I think it's a great pick here. Fits right in line with what they're going for.
Yeah, it's very Virtus Pro-esque. They always like to have a lot of team fight, and they always like to have a lot of pick-off potential. Between the Ember and the Slardar, you've pretty much already secured that. Fatal Bonds on top of Ember Spirit and Darkseer is just insane. Ember Spirit and Darkseer also have very good synergy, because we're talking about Ion Shell with Flame Guard.
Yeah.
The amount of like early game potential right now that Virtus Pro possess with their heroes, off the chain. Like just so high damage potential, and chase, and lockdown. Yeah. I'm looking at Faceless right now, and they pick... You know, Invoker's a really strong hero, absolutely, but he kind of needs time. You know, he's not going to be that insanely strong early game, dominate my lane type of hero anymore. That's not how it works. You got to buy him some space. So I'm hoping, you know, seeing these heroes so far in Faceless, maybe give Black something that has a little bit more, you know, mid to early game focus.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Invoker, especially now with that, you know, the Midas change and stuff, he wants to play 4+1. He wants to split push, be solo in lanes, and just find pickoffs with Sunstrikes for a little bit of extra gold here and there until he gets really farmed. And that can be hard to do against the lawnmower, as they say. The Ember Spirit with Surge and Ion Shell on top of him. It is so much damage. And
Wait, actually, there is another choice. They could pick Anti-Mage.
Oh. The Black Classic.
They could pick Anti-Mage. Or they could pick Morphling again, actually. I mean, he's not like the super early game hero that we were talking about, but I think the argument for a more defensive core is that if it's Morph or if it's AM, it's actually pretty difficult during the mid-late game to actually deal with that hero on BP. They're pretty, I would say, mid-game focused at the moment with their current lineup. They have good Roshan secure with the Slardar. They got pretty good team fight, but a lot of their damage is magic. So it's a possibility. They could also go back for something a little bit more unconventional. They've done it in the past. But we'll see. I'm really curious, actually, to see how they're going to answer this.
Are there any other options that come to mind for Black here? What about Naga Siren?
Does he play Naga?
I'm not sure. But I'm just thinking about, like...
plays Naga when they pick it.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right, actually. I was thinking more just, like, in general, a Naga to break up the team fights. You know, if you can get the ults, like, after the rock comes down, for example, to break the combo in half. That is a way to deal with it. I don't know if it's the best way.
The only reason I suggest this stuff like AM or Morphling is because it's like guaranteed disengage. Your core just gets away. You know, he just blinks, he waveforms out, whatever. You know, you can dodge the fight. Okay, so it is the team fight oriented pick.
Okay.
So they're gonna go with the Void and the immediate Terrorblade.
No hesitation.
So
they wanted it. Okay.
I gotta level with you, Zayori. I really like Virtus Pro's draft. Like, I really like it.
I'm with you, man.
The problem that I think Faceless are going to run into this issue where they really lack damage unless everything is perfectly in sync. So we need like the Sunstrikes to be on point. I actually think maybe he doesn't have to scale Maledict, but I really think that Witch Doctor this game might need to think about going a little bit more damage oriented.
Oh yeah.
Just because, you know, Ember is hard to kill in you know, pretty much the whole game. Slardar, Darkseer, Terrorblade, all tanky heroes in their own right. Terrorblade pretty much is only susceptible to magical damage. If you're trying to kill him with right clicks, good freaking luck. And I do believe that if the game does go late, I think it's going to be too hard for Faceless to go late into Ember Terrorblade with their heroes.
Yeah, I agree. They have some cool combos, right? You've got Treant ult as well as Chronosphere that synergizes with Invoker Ultimate as well as Death, or not Invoker Ultimate, what am I talking about? Sunstrike as well as the Death Ward from Witch Doctor. So, you've got some options. Nyx can do a little bit of damage outside of the Chrono as well. Void, there are some parallels between him and the Naga I was suggesting. You can use the Chronosphere to break up the team fight, get that initiation, stop the elusive Darkseer or Slardar from, stunning or vacuuming you and then running away. So they definitely have options here. I don't know that it's a pure draft loss, but it's going to be hard, and they're going to have to execute this like perfectly. I think for VP, the ease of execution advantage is so much more straightforward, right? You know what all their heroes want to do, and they pretty much just need to get together as 5 and just land some of their spells, and this game will be pretty straightforward for them. You can just kind of 5-man around the Metamorphosis.
I guess it really depends on how well Black and Jabs play. Like if the Chrono, Meteor, Sunstrikes, or whatever are on point, yeah, you can blow some heroes up, no question. Again, it's just about, how much time do you have? Are you going to be able to win the lanes like you want to win them? I guess in this scenario too, you also have things like the Vendetta into Sunstrike with the Impale as well. It's a very high amount of burst damage. If for whatever reason Virtus Pro are spread around on the map, you can just get the free kill, which is good. But I'm still kind of leaning towards VP. Not like you said, not like a total blowout outdraft, but I feel like they have some advantages.
Yeah. And it's cool to see Terrorblade can be a very difficult hero to deal with. 11 starting armor. Kind of mind-blowing. Of course, there's not the most
you're just
HP,
not gonna... you're not gonna right-click him, basically.
Yeah. That's one hero the Treant cannot pick on in these early levels. But I am excited to see the Treant and see how he fares, at least in the first couple minutes of the laning phase, see if he's able to put a lot of pressure on.
This is really smart, actually, from Faceless. So, I was talking earlier about how I feel like a conventional laning phase would kind of put Faceless in a bad spot. They're just going to go aggro. They, immediately go for the rune.
And Lil maybe in some trouble here. There's the time walk forward from Black. A few more right clicks, and they might have this nice crush on 2. And he'll make it back to the tower. That little heal from the Warlock, actually enough to sustain Lil through all that damage.
This is what Faceless want, though. Want this matchup to where, they can force VP to move around the map, play as inefficient as possible, or make VP play as inefficient as possible just to kind of put themselves ahead. Because the more time they can buy for themselves, I think the better off they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But this is exactly what they're looking for. Tree Witch Doctor is a terrifying support duo. Like, Slardar can't even go in. And Slardar is a hero that has, 5 base armor and whatnot. He's not weak at all.
So, VP down bottom, they'll have Ramses on the Terrorblade, and Solo does rotate. I think pretty happy with this matchup. TB should be fine against Nyx Assassin to get all the farms Little Heart desires. So we'll see how the lanes continue to rotate. It's a 2-on-3 now up top. VP will just have the Darkseer Slardar hang around for now. They should put some aggression on the Nuts. No bounces on the Coconut. And this could potentially be a kill. They're on their way in, but the Ion Shell's doing a lot of damage here. Nuts able to cut his way through the trees, but it's not going to be enough to survive. Black able to time walk a lot of the damage. The double Ion Shell, Andy, just too much.
Slardar Darkseer, man. That is definitely a strong hero combination. No questions there.
Nasty.
He was really, really far out of position, though, to be fair. He even took a weird path running away in the first place. Just maybe a bit of miscommunication. Maybe he thought that his lane mates were a little bit closer. But getting the first blood on the board like that, in such a fashion to kind of dismantling the tri-lane as well. Not entirely sure if, XY wants to really stick around right now. He's just trying to bully no one out of getting this rune.
Yeah.
Is he just dead?
He might be. That's a Leech Seed.
Oh, what a rune.
Wow. I mean, I guess if it's a haste or an invisibility, he lives there. So there are a couple of options, but still. Fish your wish. But yeah, when you think about up top, getting that kill, it's a 2-on-3, and the 2 were the ones that were able to pick up the kill. So that's a pretty big advantage for VP, given that Warlock was down bottom helping Terrorblade the whole time.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that should happen, but periodically you make these little positional mistakes, and a really good team or set of players will definitely punish you for that. So, and now Black is up here on his own. Other supports have just decided to abandon the lane. That means that You know, Pasha's going to get complete free farm. He'll be able to pull the lane as well and get the jungle creeps on top of that. This is a really, really good start for him. And Terrorblade, you know, sitting top of the CS charts at the moment.
Yeah. He's got Solo now to help sustain him up. XY is rotated, but so far they have not stopped Ramses at all. Witch Doctor now in the mid lane, putting pressure on no one, making sure the Invoker has some space to farm. It's been a pretty even matchup there so far. Now back down towards bottom. Ice, Ice, Ice. Pops the Carapace. Stun from Lil. Actually gets returned. Nice stun on 2. This could be okay for Faceless, perhaps. Solo channeling up a long upheaval, and it's actually going to turn the other way. Metamorphosis now laying in so much damage. The stickiness from the upheaval is more than enough as Solo continues to do damage with his team, and they set up a double kill for the Terrorblade. Very nicely done. Solo knowing his limits, channeling that level 1 upheaval for so long. Not something you get to see that often in the first couple minutes of a match, but very effective in that situation.
Zyori literally never seen a full channel upheaval in a pro game. Never seen it. It was it was something. You know, Ice
Never
Ice
before in the history of Dota 2, something.
Yeah, something like that. I think that Ice 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 had the right idea. He wanted to stun Ramses because he was meted, and he was scared about taking a lot of damage. But the problem is, upheaval lasts so long that it would have been more beneficial to just stun Solo. Speaking of, could be in trouble.
Here we go. Kind of a 3-on-1 here. Ramsey's not able to help him. He's been hit by the Maledict, so he will tick down. Pop some stick charges, but Nuts takes credit for the kill. All right, well, a little bit of vengeance. But overall, still pretty good for Ramses, no doubt.
Yeah, the more interesting thing to me is, you know, this middle lane matchup. Right now, no one is actually, you know, leading by a couple of creeps. There hasn't really been too much outside influence on this middle lane from either team outside of, you know, XY just casually walking around trying to take the rune from the Ember Spirit. But once this Ember gets like 6 or 7, he's going to be moving around a ton, whereas Jabs is going to farm a bit more and might be going into the ground.
Yeah, Jab's in some trouble. Gets a tornado onto no one. That does stop some of the damage from coming out. But oh wait, it's a Dark Seer. There's an Ion Shell on the Slardar. They'll be able to dive the tower and find another kill. Actually, Lil getting credit for that one. So always good to slow down that Invoker, especially before the Hand of Midas comes out. This is the time when you want to try to shut him down the most. Another good kill for Virtus Pro.
Unfortunately, the warding from Faceless didn't really help him that much there, because the Slardar was on the opposite side of the map of the ward, like he was bottom, so not being able to spot out the rotation in time, unfortunately, for Jabs.
Treant getting a ward down now. A little bit of vision here in the mid lane. How's Black doing in the off lane? Let's take a look at net worth, and he's actually #1. He's got 36 last hits. Turns out he's doing quite well, but speak of the devil, Lil comes in, time walk back. And just putting some pressure on. Void's really the only one that's farming well for Faceless right now.
Well, considering, you know, the lanes were actually supposed to be going favorably for Faceless, just given their, you know, early game rotations, it's kind of a bummer, you know, because 2 out of 3 other lanes are pretty much losing at this point, and VP have decided to go ahead and just send Ramses up top. Lil, behind enemy lines here, will be dropping.
Most
it's going to make him work
likely.
For it,
yeah, absolutely. There we go. Void comes in, gets the last hit. It's got to feel good. And XY leeching some XP. Uh-oh, Pasha. Sunstrike just barely misses. Oh, wow. What a close call that was.
I'm not sure if it would have killed him, but it would have been close, for sure.
Yeah, but with Treant there, whomping him once, yeah. Would have made things interesting. Nyx getting some space now in the bottom lane. Much needed space for Ice Ice Ice. You know, kind of the key to this hero is level 6 Vendetta, get off the map. Sort of like you were talking about with Spirit Breaker, you want to spend some time not visibly farming in lane so that there's that intimidation factor. You know, the Nyx could be behind me in Vendetta at any time. So, good for him to get some solo XP here.
Yeah, he's got his arcanes on like 1 creep too. Needs to be careful though. If there's a double shell on this hero, he's pretty much gonna die. Okay, XY is gonna scout it out. He should be okay.
Yeah. Lil looking for some kind of a wraparound play. All right, Hand of Midas. About 1,000 gold away for Jabs, 1,200, something like that. He's getting there, slow and steady, but this might slow him down even more. Lil rotates in. No one on the way. He still has the flame guard on, though. This cask is crippling, and they'll get the kill on Slardar. Now no one getting low. Black is here. He drops the chrono just to be sure, and it ends up a double kill for Jabs. Huge turn for Faceless. Nuts, making it possible with that brilliant paralyzing cask right there.
I mean, I want to say that was unnecessary, but he did have stick charges, I guess. So I guess there was a small chance that he could have popped stick and like remnant away, but yeah, better safe than sorry, I suppose, is the name of the game. And just like that, you know, Faceless have pretty much completely recovered from the early game kill deficit. They're even going to get Pasha on the bottom lane as well. Jabs with the haste room, just casually walking down there and right-clicking him to death, so
very nice.
Getting closer and closer to that Midas.
5-4, Faceless showing us a sign of life. And oh my. Witch Doctor dies here in the mid lane. Solo kill to no one. Looks like he just overstepped his bounds a little bit.
Unfortunately, that time there were no bonus things to bounce with cask, so he just got ran at.
Oh, Courier up top. Ramsey's kind of sniffing it out here. He does have a meta. Needs to be a little careful. He does not have a point in Sunder. But Terrorblade's still farming pretty nicely. Oh, Black maybe in a little bit of trouble.
This is a hard
time
kill.
Walk. Upheaval again? I don't think it'll be enough. He has time walk again in one. Beautifully timed stun by Lil, and they get it. Hard kill indeed.
He was like counting the seconds. That was a insanely well-timed stun. I want to say his time walk was actually being cast.
Yeah.
When he got hit by that.
I mean, Lil did some serious math right there. That was very impressive. Okay, well, a big kill. That really knocks Void down on the net worth chart. You can kind of see it. All of the core is pretty competitive, but now Invoker, the leading farmer for the Radiant, and he will pick up his Hand of Midas. So just shy of the 10-minute mark, actually ends up being a pretty decent Midas timing. He is 3-1 and 0, so took a tumble, but Jabs has kind of made up for it. That lucky haste rune rotation down bottom as well, giving him a little more momentum.
And once you get to this point as Invoker, you can kind of play off map as much as you like. You can kind of just, you know, give lane to somebody else if you want, and you can just let Ice 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 set up, you know, Sunstrike kills for you with his Vendetta.
Yep. Hey, Draskell, did you correctly predict number 3?
I don't even remember what number 3 was, but I don't think so. Nope, I didn't. It just showed up for me.
Pure damage, Darkseer, nailed it. Never doubted Pasha for a second. Yeah, Ember's a good choice, too.
Darkseer is the better choice, though, for sure, because, you know, double Ion Shell. It's happened so many times already this game. Plus, it doesn't really have, like, a timer. He can just do it right away, whereas Ember doesn't really, like, rotate that much until he's got at least one item.
Well, and Ember also has to deal with the Purge from the Tornado. Invoker's kind of been locked in the matchup against him, so that's slowed down some of his damage output at least a little bit here. XY, speak of the devil, burning down. Turns, drops the bash. This could be a kill for the Ember Spirit, but ooh, just barely gets it. Sunstrike, no one sidesteps it. Very nice. Meanwhile, up top, another fight breaking out, and it looks like Dire come out big. Ice, 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 Nuts. Both go down. They do lose solo for it, but it's a 1-for-3 around the map. Of course, in favor of Virtus Pro. Caught the very tail end of the action up top. It looked like just a nice Darkseer vac wall setup.
Yeah, that combination of heroes is just so hard to deal with, honestly. Because they both move so fast, right? Like, one of them has Sprint, the other one has Surge. It's like two pasted heroes, pretty much, with Ion Shells and a Disable.
Look how nasty this is, though. TB saved meta. He just popped it, so they can commit to this tower and a follow-up fight. Warlock ult comes down, connects on quite a few. There's the back in from Pasha, and this is going to be crippling. The follow-ups there from Slardar. Ramses drops the friendly Sunder to heal up Will. They'll finish off this tower, and they'll certainly make it too. Still half duration left on meta. A very convincing team fight for Virtus Pro. About a 1,200 net worth swing. But very nice.
Man, that Sunder was actually so clutch. I mean, I don't know if I would have Sundered there, because Lil was going to die to the next Maledict, because he had one more tick on him. And then he Sunders him back to full health, realizing that, you know, he's obviously going to drop if he doesn't. That was a very selfless play.
Yeah.
And like the fact that he's able to like pay that close of attention like during that team fight, I guess they won it pretty hard, so he didn't really have to commit that much focus, because it was pretty much rock onto 3 heroes, vacuumed into the middle of an upheaval, and they're just massacred. This is a 0-2-4 Warlock. I cannot say I've seen this in a very long time.
Not even a single point in Fatal Bonds. Maxed upheaval. Wow. And it's working. That's that's the thing about it.
If you think about it, yeah, it's funny because you have all these frontline heroes like Darkseer, Slardar, Ember, TB. They're all heroes that pretty much stand between you and the enemy team. And Upheaval actually has a very long cast range. So,
no. Yep, Black going in onto Ember. Sunstrike connects, cast bouncing around, and he will fall. So pretty big commitment, but still a nice pick onto no one.
Dude, look at this.
Upheaval on to 4. Is there going to be some follow-up here? Black, let's be able to time walk some of the damage. That does, look at that cast range. That is huge.
Yeah, it's massive. And the radius of it is also massive.
Yeah, so it extends even bigger than what this little arc shows you. That's crazy. The future, ladies and gentlemen, Upheaval Warlock.
Well, it's especially good this game because no one on the team of Faceless has an innate escape ability except for Black.
Yeah.
Like, no one has a blink, a leap, you know, even a force staff at this point. So getting out of that upheaval, and keep in mind, it also lingers. It's 3 seconds after leaving the AoE that the slow disappears. 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's the stickiness that I was talking about. That's what makes it insane. All right. I have some faith. It also just makes sense with the, you know, if you can combo that with a Darkseer or just vacuum, not even back wall, makes it so hard to get away. Here we go. Tier 1 tower mid, taking some pressure from Faceless. Black does not have the ultimate. It's a really long cooldown. Only level 1, so 140 seconds. Searing Chains on 2. Follow-up Golem. Void just gets obliterated. Jabs on the run. Do they have the detection? Doesn't look like it, but they've got back wall. Oh, okay, never mind. They do. That's an easy 3. I mean, that wasn't even a team fight, Andy. That was just a massacre.
Yeah, they got obliterated. That was very, very tough for them. Ramses, though, could be in trouble. Ice TPs with the Vendetta. Oh, but their Invoker's dead. They don't have Sunstrike. Yeah, they need that to kill. Yeah. I was going to say, if Jabs was alive or maybe even had buyback, it would have been worth it to just get the kill on Ramses. But, you know, every single meta so far, or at least the last 3 of them, have pretty much resulted in teamfight wins and towers and then more towers. So, you know, in regards to efficiency, again, you know, VP are just playing some crisp Dota. They're getting a lot out of every single meta usage. Their golems have both accomplished a lot, like Solo ensured that Black died by chaining his Chaotic Offering stun between the Searing Chains so that he couldn't leap away. And, you know, they're just... They seem to be firing on all cylinders in the second game.
Yeah, absolutely. Manta style on the way for Ramses. A lot of item progression coming here. Darkseer has the mech, Blink Dagger right around the corner. He's already been getting good vac walls. That'll be even easier. And Ember, he had Veil Discord in that last fight, but now Boots of Travel up as well. Double Midas on the side of Faceless. The Invoker, pretty stock and standard. Ice, Ice, Ice. He did decide to go back for one, and I guess it is pretty standard on the Nyx Assassin too. And one of those heroes you spend a lot of time roaming about, so it just helps you keep tempo, find some farm while you're, you know, not sitting in lane.
Yeah, that's the one thing people forget about Nyx, is you spend so much time off the map that if you don't have a Midas and you're also not hitting creeps and your Vendettas are not successfully finding kills, you just become worthless.
Oh, no one jumps right into a Remnant. They were ready and waiting. They'll pick him off to start the fight. Now Black comes in. He drops the Chrono. Great Death Ward from Nuts. They find 2. But now the turn. Back, and a meta from Ramses makes it a 2 for 2. They do pick up only the 2 supports. And they lose one of their cores as well as a tier 1 tower. But Virtus Pro showing that they can at least strike back. Even in kind of an ideal scenario for Faceless. I mean, they just destroyed the Ember Spirit before the fight started and really had a nice chrono there in that little choke point.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still more beneficial, I think, for Faceless, unless VP managed to take this tower. Then I think the trade would have ultimately favored Virtus Pro. Just because, sure, it was the expenditure of the chrono, but killing 2 pretty important heroes, especially since, you know, the Slardar was so close to his blink at that point before he died, and then also getting the kill on the Ember. But yeah, this is still looking kind of tough.
Yep, XY now, back wall back, but EMP tornado combo from the Invoker. In comes no one, Searing Chains on 2, they'll chop down the tree, and this poor Witch Doctor gets left behind. Cask will bounce around, but minimal impact as they clear out the creep wave. The tier 2 tower will fall, and with these 2 supports dead again, Virtus Pro have to be feeling confident.
There's just not much they can do without Chrono. They are so reliant on that spell.
Yeah, and
if they don't have Chrono into like Invoker spells, like we were talking about, lack of damage, where is your DPS actually coming from?
It's just such a brutal cooldown on Chrono now. It's like you need the Aghanims almost just for it to be a normal spell. 125 seconds. That's a pretty long time. You know, that's a Warlock ult right there. 165 on the Warlock ult, so just to put it in perspective.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the Warlock ultis for me have been doing a little bit more than the Chronos. I mean, it's not to say that the Chronos haven't been getting kills.
Yeah.
You know, Solo drops a rock top, 3 heroes dead in a tower. Drops a rock mid, 2 heroes dead in a tower. That is like some serious value out of every single chaotic offering. Yeah. It's not often that you see that, right? Like sometimes you get like a pick off or whatever, and it's like, okay, we got like chip damage on a tower. It's not guaranteed, boom, heroes tower every time.
All right, smoke rotation from Virtus Pro headed down bottom. Let's see what they can find. Jabs in the tree line looking to TP out. They will not be able to catch him. Good read here from Faceless. And they get out of dodge. Very nice.
I mean, it's very nice that they didn't end up getting a hero picked off, but at the end of the day, you can see their posturing. Like, they don't want anything to
Or Misery was hunting him the whole time, also a possibility. But grabbing Kuro is massive. 30 seconds without that? At least the creeps are a bit cut. That helps him.
I'm on control. Let's see if we can get a grab onto Saxa, but quick with the blink.
Yeah. Guess they're going to give up on that one. Somebody must have pushed out mid, or just happened to be pushed. I'm not sure. But
I guess maybe Miracle had one of the Tempests out there.
yeah, this is. I was wondering about this. Where's the gem for Thunderbirds? They picked it up just now, and now this should give them a lot of map control. They weren't able to kill a tier 3 there, unfortunately, so no shrine kills. But they've got to offset what the Night Stalker is doing, basically.
Weehaw, feeling very confident. I mean, he is on his own, but definitely has the capability to do so. And I do like his decision as well. You kind of touched upon it earlier in some other builds that players do on the Bristol, getting the Aghanims. Having that, being able to, as you say, max out the stacks, and just providing that slow and armor reduction to really allow the Terrorblade to hit home on these heroes. Yeah,
not to mention every time he casts it, somebody's armor is going to be lowered by 2.2. And that could hit Night Stalker. That guy's not going to be Magic Immune. You know, using it against Lifestealer will be a bit unpredictable. You don't always know when you'll be able to cast it, but the damage amp, the AoE slow, all that stuff's going to be really worthwhile. What I'm really curious about is what he gets at level 25. It's either 30 health regen or the 25 cool stack. I think you go for the cool stack here.
I think you go for the cool stack.
It got buffed
I mean, he's
by
not dying,
25%.
Yeah.
And there's a coddle, so he's going to cast more quills than average.
Yeah.
You do insane damage with this.
No,
you go from 36 quill stack damage to like whatever that is. Is that like 61 or something? Yeah, 61
that's right. You
per
did the
quill
there.
stack.
Perfect.
So that's going to add up real fast. We're talking like 400 AoE physical every 2.5 seconds or whatever the heck it is, 3 seconds.
Yeah, it just really feels like he just does not need that regen. He's able to frontline at the moment with these items, with Vanguard, Lotus, and Solar Crest BKB. Who needs regen?
And the disable threats that his opponents have, he can always turn, almost always. So we'll see what he does though. He may not end up committing, but there's a lot of mediocre armor heroes on the enemy team. That's basically everybody but Lifestealer right now.
Timber just trying to do his best to hold off the push. As we are very, very confident in the front lining. The mass TPs coming back in from Liquid. So they will look to do their best to hold. Usually going in on the Bristol at the same time. A bit of a split push coming out from Resolution's Illusions on the top lane as they work down that tier 3. And once again, in on the front, we falling low, but the bait potential as Moon comes in with a Burrow Strike, but in response, Kuroki looking to get the tree down, the Wukong's command out, won't quite reach Weehaw on the side of it, but they get the 2 on the front. Moon and Saxa punished for their over-aggression.
Ooh, they lost the gem as well, I think. Must have been on Tusk, perhaps? Or Sanking? No, it was on Sanking, definitely.
Yeah.
That's a big loss, and this is basically the Night Stalker counter, is what it feels like there. He didn't actually even need to use his ulti there, but I guarantee that if Night Stalker wasn't in this game, Thunderbirds would just wait till daytime, then they would do that.
Oh, and a freebie for
kill.
Matumba, yeah, just a solo kill on Misery. We'll knock him out for 45 and no buyback. And there's that pickup that the panel talked about, having someone with the Silver Edge. Now they're on Miracle. Yeah. So now there's that extra chance to bring down Weehaw.
2 chances. Both him and his Tempest double are going to have it. Which means that they can use Silver Edge for, what, 10 seconds in a row if they want. And now the game's just so weird because Thunderbirds should be just closing out Arax easily because they have a big advantage, but the nighttime thing is causing so many issues. They don't have this like overwhelming heal to keep the Bristleback healed up. Like his items are covering some of those problems, but they want to be getting these 500 HP heals every like 5 seconds. That's when they can just end the game and get a Rax or 2. But they're just not getting that opportunity because of the Night Stalker counter pick. And Thunderbirds are forced into doing these like high ground pushes or attempts at them at times where they're not going to necessarily be full power because they feel like they have this timer. Resolution maybe going to get caught here.
Just need to be a little careful. Liquid with 3 members in the neighborhood. Thunderbirds with the TP reaction are holding on. Mid lane, Weehaw getting a bit aggressive, but has the haste ring. Again, feeling safe. But as we're seeing, you know, in a game where Thunderbirds were taking the vast majority of team fights and really keeping the pressure onto Liquid, Liquid's still able to turn it around if mistakes are made by Thunderbirds on these high ground sieges.
Yeah, absolutely can go both ways. And as time goes on, there's literally 5 Midases on Liquid, so...
Damn, the 5 Midas strat.
That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
For the late game implications there. Just everybody's got a golden hand. So everybody's going to have a lot of gold on the Radiant side, which could mean a super late game victory here. I think Liquid's goal is Turtle. Don't let them take a Rax. And here's an opportunity. It's daytime. Night Stalker, no ult. They've got 3 minutes.
Tried to go in onto Saxa, but Saxa quick with the snowball to hold himself back.
This is the best window that Thunderbirds has had all game. 3 minutes here. Well, it's actually 50 seconds until Nightstalker uses ult, but they've got a good 2 minutes of total window time here. They need to take a Raxer at the least this tier 3.
Fortifications out. Miracle getting ready with the silver hedge hit. Will get it onto the Bristol back. Mind control being focused here by Rezo and Weeha on the sidelines. Moon has managed to find the stun onto Kuroki, so making it very hard for Kuro to get off that Wukong's command. He does find it, gets the bashes out. He survives. Kuroki finally goes down, but that Wukong's command there, buying the time, hitting the bashes to allow them to get the triple kill for Miracle. I can't believe he got that off, and it did so much in that short second that he had it. The bashes were instant.
That was all about this medallion purchase on Monkey King, in my opinion. The difference of 7 armor there meant that Terrorblade doesn't just like 2-3 shot him, but they're going to be able to get the Nightstalker and a gem possibly if they can grab it in time.
GH and Matuma eyeing it up with the shards, keeping them away from him. Matuma, has he got the damage to bring down Weeha? Well, with the freezing field, it's going to be close, but Weeha still able to run it off. Matuma has to be careful of how heavy he goes in. He does have Miracle moving across as well to help. Saxa with the blink away will survive.
Okay, grabbing the gem definitely helps a lot. It's really tough for Thunderbirds though that they died there. That was the window. They did get the tier 3 at least, so they will be able to kill the enemy shrines, but I'm sure they were wishing they got a Rax. And yeah, the Monkey King staying alive just long enough to get quadruple bashes off or whatever the hell crap happened there. That made the big difference.
Yeah, so it's looking scarier and scarier for Thunderbird, considering that they had this lead and they haven't been able to take Rax. 35 minutes in. Bottom lane, the Tempest double. Wow, won't even be taken down, actually. Miracle will keep it alive long enough for its timeout.
Yeah, very wise to not feed those. They give a lot of gold right now and experience.
And you talked about the medallion. It's now a full-fledged solo crest, so even better.
Yeah, Resolution's queuing up a MKB, but he hasn't started yet. It's definitely pretty late at this point. Maybe should have grabbed. No, I think he's doing the right item progression. It's just kind of a bad timing that you have to deal with as Terrorblade. And Roche gonna go for Liquid here. Not too surprising considering that they put the pressure on their opponents recently. But.
And do you like the decision as well from Weeha, considering the situation? Not going to go for the Axe this game and has switched it up for the Assault Cuirass.
I think that's the right move. He's insanely survivable now. It basically means that Matoma Man doesn't really touch him too much. I mean, I like the Ags idea, but the timing wasn't quite right. And the fact that he bought Lotus Orb basically ruined his chances of getting Ags. It was basically Lotus Orb or Ags. It'd be his whole like survivability thing would be way too delayed otherwise. This will overall give him a lot better right-click damage anyways. Just the other one's better tankiness against like nukes and stuff, and better teamfight disruption kind of stuff. I mean, the man's got like 40 armor. With the Solar Crest, I think he's going to be super effective like this. Ooh, Arcane Rune.
That would be nice if they want to get something done with it.
Okay, they're going to use Arcane Rune on Terrorblade, probably, for Metamorphosis.
Yeah, for the meta. Makes sense. If they can make use of it here in this time, but they will be pushing, of course, into this Aegis. So it'll be questionable how heavy Thunderbirds try and go in during this time. I mean, do you feel that Thunderbirds, because of kind of that 5 Midas pickup from Liquid, are they running out of time, or do they have the heroes to continue to scale?
They definitely feel like that, and I do think there's some big worry about that.
Well, we'll find a free Crystal Maiden there, GH, left behind on the top lane. Down for 60. It's a minute that they can try and abuse this one hero advantage, but essentially Liquid, of course, still with 5 with that Aegis second life on one of their cores. They'll play it safe, get the shrines, continue to find what they can get. MKB now done though from Matumba. This man is certainly going to be able to start chomping through these heroes, especially if you factor in the Silver Edge and the Bloodthorn picked up on Miracle.
Yeah, all comes down to Force Staffs. Things like Snowball, keeping those heroes alive is a big deal. Miracle is actually getting really farmed though. Yeah. Double Midas pays off. Bloodthorn's going to be huge.
That's true, actually. I mean, technically the 6 Midas strap from Liquid.
Good point. He's queuing up Scotty afterwards. He's basically to the point here, especially it's 25. He's going to have 30% lifesteal as well. He's going to deal with the TB quite well at this point. I think this is the main reason they picked Arc Warden, because they knew they needed like a ranged Mjolnir carrier of some kind. That way they could actually clear the TB illusions when they go high ground. So they really did draft interestingly for that.
Jump here, Liquid. Can they respond to this? They'll look towards Moon, bringing him down very low. Infest, the nuke damage is enough to bring him down, but in return, Thunderbirds, they'll find mind control. Kuroki quick with the jump away, and now on the retreat. Tumberman and Kuro trying to get themselves out of there. Saxa with the sharp block onto Kuroki, tries to hide as a tree. It's not going to fool T-Birds as they take down the Monkey King as well.
Bottom a fraction of a second, but only so much.
Tumberman will be saved though, so it's kind of a little bit of a silver lining, but still, Thunderbirds getting 2 kills. It is, of course, just a question of, again, how much, if anything, they can get done in that 40 seconds for both. Because Miracle, just look at the pressure. Bottom lane and mid lane shoved entirely in onto the side of map of Thunderbirds. And in fact, he's going to go for a 1v1 here. He is inside the bubble, so the evasion isn't there for the Tempest double. Miracle's out. The Flux will bring Rezo very low, though.
And that's just a Tempest double, man. He almost died. Fight goes in, though. Lifestealer, this is a huge kill. Okay, Aegis. Can they get the follow-up, though?
And Miracle's hanging around, but this is going to be a 3 versus 3 and a scary 3 on Thunderbirds with Weeheart ready to be on the front line. Saxa will go for the easier kill. Looks towards Jace. Do they have the detection? They do indeed. They'll take him down through the Glimmer Cape. In response, the Bloodthorn and the Flux bringing Moon very low. T-Birds are ready to try and break high ground once more. There's no Aegis, there's no Crystal Maiden for a full minute. And Tumberman focusing on zoning back the Bristle back. The Bloodthorn's down onto Rezo, bringing him down to half health. Weeha straining on the high ground, has to be careful. This Mjolnir damage bringing him down low, but the BKB's out. Again, another Wraith dropped up onto the high ground to continue to just zone Saxa back. Mind control has Tumberman inside him. They're ready to try and chase for more as T-Birds desperately scatter and back away from this.
They're going to chase. Here comes the blink.
Mind control.
Oh, good
immediately turned on. Yeah, the Burrow Strike in response comes through. Tumberman now in the front. Resolution's just going to turn and beat him down. The Boundless Strike is there trying to save Tumberman. Can he get his way out of this one? He can't. He's down. Miracle has the Tempest Double, looks towards Rezo, but again, TB with his own BKB. Doesn't care about the lightning. Kuroki trying to 1v3 here with the Wukong's command. He will take one down. The Bash is keeping Thunderbirds back. He'll try and lifesteal his way back up, but they've got the Burrow Strike. They have the control. Triple kill for Resolution as Thunderbirds will end up taking the convincing team fight win.
Dude, that fight was saved by Sand Burrow Strike there. Just being able to instantly disable the Night Stalker makes it a little bit harder for Lifestealer to make a decision. And killing him basically means that even the Lifestealer can't run away because then he's stuck in the guy that's stunned. So that Burrow Strike is huge. Allows Resolution to get a kill without even having to commit Metamorphosis. He'll use it now, though. It's time to take a Rax for Thunderbirds if they can.
And he's absolutely massive. As we saw the BKB making huge effect in that last fight. He's got an MKB as well now. Miracle scouting out the situation with the Tempest double. And we'll look to put a bit of a harassment down onto Rezo. With Moon and himself, they'll turn and bring it down. But again, you can't underestimate the damage that this double can do before it goes. But the space is there. Top and middle racks being pressured by Thunderbirds. Miracle trying his best to keep them alive with the field, but We Are simply steps into it and will allow them to bring down the melee racks on the top lane. Mid lane looking fairly exposed as well. In a few seconds, Liquid will have the full lineup back up. Resolution still with the Metamorphosis, so the damage that he can offer, can he bring down a second set? There'll be the fortification, BKB forced out on Rezo, now looking to get out. Liquid looking for the chase down. Can they get anything out of this one? Kuroki jumping forward, hits the Boundless Strike onto 2, Mind Control into the midst of it all, finds Rezo, hits the Silence and Void just in time to bring down the Terrorblade, and now the Shard. Oh no, they've actually trapped in Weeheart, but oh, the epic Burrow Strike from Moon onto 3 as he comes back in. A buyback will be there from Kuroki, but Tumberman's down for 80 seconds, does not have any buyback available, and Thunderbirds, even after losing Resolution there with a fantastic fake back as they come in with that Sand King play.
It was such a fun little dance to see. They wanted to get close to the Terrorblade to kill him, but if they get too close, he sunders and he's going to be able to fight at full HP, so they just played it out until they finally had enough to disable. They get the kill, but the crucial epicenter there from Sand King, guaranteeing the team fight win.
Let's see how they can stop this. Kuroki from the high ground again with these Wukong's commands, but Saxa's forced out to safety. Weeheart as well, shoved down to the low ground. Can they get him out? Miracle trying for the chase, but being very careful about how they step out the base now. They do respect the turn potential of the Thunderbirds.
And they also shut down the Wukong's command ult again, pushing him out instantly with the blinding light. And it's daytime. 1:28 until night. Night Stalker does have his ulti, but the heals are coming. And they got to shut this down pretty soon. I don't even know if they can stop this, though. With Tumberman dead for 25, it's tough. They do make it nighttime, so no more heals here, but they've even got BKB.
Can they kill Weeha?
They can get him low, definitely.
Yeah, it's so hard, especially with the backup. You know, Moon ready to jump in with a Burrow Strike in case anything's get too dicey. We are just past the BKB. They want to go for the Megas. There's the jump in the Burrow Strike onto 2. Saxa trying to focus down. Miracle's out and down for 100. It's almost certainly going to be over unless they can get some big kills in return, Liquid. They found Moon. They'll get the Void onto Saxa, but he's shoved down to the low ground. The Sigil's slow, keeping Liquid back. Saxa takes a Boundless Strike to the backside, though. Kuroki will bring down the Tusk. Mutuma Man with the quick invest play. Can he keep himself alive? He's hiding in the opponent's creeps here, but Kuroki being chased down back to the fountain by Resolution as they've lost the Monkey King as well. Buybacks coming out from Thunderbirds. They know that this is their chance to close the game off as they'll turn their attention towards the tier 4, and GG is called. We'll be taking this one to a game 3 as Thunderbirds bringing it together, and that's a man who's just played a mid-Bristleback and won a game.
Oh, yeah, it was a fun game to watch. Really cool strat from Thunderbirds. I think the Bristle was definitely the right hero for the game, and on the other side, I think even the Arc Warden was definitely a